Hello and welcome to the Celtic Women's Football Show, the season preview. I am your host, Paul Carlin, joined by a killer panel of excellent people. Clare Wilde is here. Hi, Clare.
Hello, it's lovely for you to be in the hosting seat today. Thank you.
It's interesting. How did I end up here? Maybe it's more of a kind of rhetorical question. How did I end up here?
Well, that's a bigger question for another day. I think we thought it would be good to have someone who was going to host who wasn't like in this stuff day in and day out, who was a bit distant from it, who might have some questions that we could address.
So I'm stupid
angle.
And distant.
Yeah,
okay.
Basically.
Fair enough.
I think I think that, right?
Ignorant is another one, ignorant of women's sport.
Yeah.
Speaking of ignorant, Lorenzo's here.
Good evening. Hello.
Oh, just a quick intro, right? Great. And we're delighted to have Peter O'Toole here as well. Hello, Peter.
Hello, how are we doing? Happy to be here.
It's Peter's my first time podcasting together, so I'm excited about that. I'm hoping for a bit of professionalism, which is severely lacking from some people. Anyway, look, let's just get into it. The season starts on Sunday, this Sunday coming, the 17th, away to Hearts. It's fair to say, Clare, that last season was an enormous disappointment in almost every single way. How are you feeling at this point in the season? Or pre-season, I should say.
I'll be honest, we are recording this on a Tuesday late afternoon, and we tried to time it so that we would make sure that we were close enough to the start of the season, but we would also have some players in that we could talk about. That has not happened, which means that it all feels a bit panic stations at the moment in terms of the fan base, in terms of my mindset, in terms of being sort of told by the club, oh yeah, definitely we're going to be signing players. Well, where are they? Because we've seen all the other clubs signing lots of players, and we have had 2 incomings and then radio silence. So it's hard. I'm excited. I'm really excited for the season to be starting again, because it's a clean slate and it's going to be good. But keeping the faith that we will have a full enough squad is proving tricky at this moment in time.
I think that entire thing is symptomatic of across the entire club, including the men's team, just this lack of action. Incredibly frustrating for fans. Peter, where's your head at right now?
Yeah, probably similar place to Claire's, although there is still that point, you get a week before the season and all of a sudden all of that, you just kind of get excited for it, and there's a bit of me inside that thinks maybe we can do something this season. Based off of nothing at all, but you get that pre-season kind of anxiety, pure optimism, just like the Celtic's back kind of thing. So
I love that. Lorenzo, do you echo Peter's sentiment, or are you going to be a bit more pessimistic?
It's basic arithmetic when you lose these players. But weirdly, I felt the same as Peter this week, just that little weird pang. I think I looked at the lineup from the Sunderland game and it was like, oh, I like all these players. Mm-hmm. They're nice players. And you get a wee vibe that maybe you have to lock yourself in for a different kind of season, and suddenly Celtic are underdogs in some fashion, and we can maybe enjoy a different kind of ride, and maybe be surprised and get to be excited with a 3 points any given week, instead of being disappointed that it didn't follow.
Okay. Well, I like that. I feel like we got all shades of the coin. That's an expression. Let's talk about focus a little bit on last season, kind of what went right, but what went wrong. Clare, we'll come to you. We talked about this ourselves just in the pub and in your home and stuff like that, about how shit last season was for Celtic Women. What were maybe if you each give me like one key thing that you think went wrong last year?
It's really hard to nail it down to one thing. I think last season ended so badly that it's hard to focus on anything but how it ended and there was such a kind of monumental decline. I think we'll come on to maybe talking about some of the positives. I think it's weird to say it, but I don't think we were prepared for that run in Europe as much as we should be. And I think that through so many different spanners in the works, that it had such an effect on different levels, on the players, on the facilities, on the way the club was approaching the team, that, it just kind of didn't all come together in one beautiful pitch. It should have been. There was so much about that run in Europe that was so exciting and so amazing, but the sort of flip side of that was that it was extraordinarily disruptive.
Gotcha. Lorenzo?
Mentality. I think relationships between players and management, relationships, or even, not egos, maybe the wrong word, but certain players not performing while kind of maintaining senior status. A lot of things went wrong, but in general, vibes across the board were very, very low. Also, from like a playing perspective, for me, just game management. Anytime we were playing a team of any level close to us or better than us, it seemed like we had no idea how to finish the game. We had a lot of drop points in those runs against teams around us or better than us, where somehow, despite our form, we could have actually come away with 3 points, we could have come away with a point, we could have been in the conversation in the last 6 games, but instead we just found a way to lose any big game, and the mentality was just through the floor.
Peter, a negative?
A negative, yeah, I kind of echo what they've said there, and then adding, it just kind of felt throughout the whole club and with the fans. There seemed to get a disconnect last year. I think the season before that, everything felt like it came together. The fans were there, the players were there, the management, even like the board level kind of stuff was all kind of pulling in one direction. Whereas last season, it seemed like Elena wanted one thing, the head of football wanted one thing, the players wanted everything, the fans were expecting different stuff, and nothing seemed to kind of gel together. And there's not really, I can't see a reason particularly why that was the case, so maybe I don't know how you fix that, but maybe getting rid of half the squad helps.
Yeah, bad apples, right? Could one of you explain to me what like the structure is for Celtic women? Like who does no one knows. No, I just wondered who does the manager report to?
That is one of the things that last season was alluded to be kind of in question. So there has been, and lots of people listening to this will know, but you know, if you haven't been listening to the pod, if you're not as close to the team, the person who from the club on the kind of board side or the kind of admin side who was taking things forward was someone who'd kind of grown into that role, who was a lawyer at the club, had kind of almost fallen into the job by accident, and it's only this summer that they've recruited someone who is now, their job is head of women's football operations.
Right. Okay.
Who will be able to take more of an overview. And it's been, I think that, like you said about that kind of mentality thing, I think it was difficult to see where people were looking to for leadership. Maybe that was part of what you were saying, Lorenzo, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a total lack of awareness of who's in charge of who and who does what, when and why decisions are made and how they're made, and it just goes all the way from the top right through the playing staff. Even the leadership group we kind of thought we knew over the past 5 years or so, it kind of has to bend and move with the squad, and it hasn't, and that's led to fracturing in the squad. It's tough to know who the senior players are really anymore. You know, our standard-bearing captain, we've talked about it enough, is not a full-time professional. That makes it very, very difficult because, again, there's responsibility sloping off shoulders everywhere at this club.
Peter, we'll come back to you. Something good, or maybe something that you saw last season that's given you a bit of hope for this season?
I think this started to be the emergence of kind of young Celtic talent coming through. I think we saw Maria McEnany second half of last season in particular. I think it was a real bright spot in that kind of last post-split games where, as much as we didn't pick up results, she was the one kind of dragging the team forward, and that was really exciting to see. I think we've seen like Dara Dawson start to be involved in the squad, which has been exciting. So I think that's something we've seen much at Celtic, is the youth academy actually, making anything.
She's like 16.
Yeah. Well,
that's wild.
It's interesting because there's a whole reason behind the youth academy kind of failing. There's a whole change in age systems that's too complicated to get into. But Dara Dawson ended up basically the only person of that age available, and then she was in the club basically.
Okay.
But she seems like she's pretty good. I think she's been in the first team training. She's got a pre-season. And I think that's something that kind of excites me. I think it's something we're maybe seeing with the squad. Let's maybe get onto that later on. But there's a few more kind of youth players within that.
Yeah.
I think that's a positive step. I think to kind of, as for a club as a whole, to be developing a more kind of youth structure, which is a bit more sustainable. And rather than having to replace 10 players every season, we've kind of got a continuous stream of talent. So
it's felt like that, like as a, let's say, an outsider. Like it just seemed like every season the team is so different from the season before, and some of the players that I remember playing for Celtic women like 2-3 seasons ago are just, they could be anywhere, quite frankly. Lorenzo, a positive from last season for you. Did anything go well?
I think Peter took the only one, but I'd echo what you said. Maria McEnany in particular. I'm talking about a lack of leaders, a lack of responsibility. I think she will really step up next season and be a driving force about caring about the club, understanding where it's been, where it's going. She's somebody we're going to have to look to a lot. I think amongst all the negativity, and we'll probably talk about like the fan aspect of it as we go, I think the involvement of fans in such a difficult season to be very present and loud and aware of everything that's going wrong. I think it could be very easy to be passive, particularly if you're somebody coming from the men's team and you're taking an interest in the women's team after the Celtic Park games or after the cup wins, and now you've got fans who are embedded in this culture, understand all the difficulties at Celtic Women, understand what Celtic should be achieving, and are driving at the club and are making their voices heard and are in their own wee ways everything we can do. There's a lot of people that really care about this club, and in a season where it's gone so badly and you're going to have to drag new fans in, that is very important, and maybe a little positive I can take from last season.
Claire, you've got this barrel. Here's the barrel. Would you like to scrape it?
I've actually got a couple of things I can
Okay,
bring.
hello.
Can we have neither Rangers or Glasgow City won the league?
Love that.
Very
Yeah.
good. That was very positive. Yeah.
That was me.
Thank you,
Chris
Cal.
is claiming that one. When I was thinking about this question as well, I just wrote a note that was just Emma Lawton.
Yes.
So no further notes needed. She's great, and I think there was a lot of concern that we might not hang on to her as well, that she had this kind of meteoric rise through the ranks, and that rise might continue out with Celtic, and that she's going to be with us this season. I think, like, maybe on a sort of footballing note, there were some really good the performances that, I sort of said Europe was a thorn in our side a wee bit, but there was positives from that as well. I think some of those performances that we put in against teams that are not just better than us, but like in a totally different like stratosphere to us, proved that there is something about this Celtic team somewhere in the like bowels of like what's going on that can kind of pull out performances out of the bag and like do things that are really incredible. It's just that we stopped seeing that like after Christmas, and it all just went on a decline. So it's there somehow.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We just need to start seeing some of that again. And like Lorenzo said, we were doing those in big games in Europe and just not being able to do it in domestically big games, which is odd, and you just hope that problem has been identified and is going to be addressed.
If only there was a manager that could harness a lot of the talent in the squad and kind of galvanise and get this kind of siege mentality going. Let's talk about the manager. Lorenzo, we'll start with you. Is Elena the right person to, I guess, bring success back to Celtic Women?
I have no idea. I think I spent a wee bit of time to and fro in last season. I was very in when she joined. I thought she did an amazing job of managing those games when she took over from January at the end of the season. She won the big games. She made some controversial decisions with her lineups that actually got games won. She seemed to be matching up teams really well. And as the season's gone on last year, a lot of that just seemed to dissipate, and it seemed to be because of a fracture in the squad. There seemed to be players she could trust. There were players who seemed to be it was made quite known. It was like a kind of unhappy secret that everyone kind of knew about the disharmony between some of our better players and the coaching staff. And there is a big element of me that wants to always say that is on the manager to create those bonds with the players and to manage egos. But it was, I think we talked about in January, it's either going to be stick or twist. If the board back Elena, I say the board as if MD is having these conversations. If Elena's back, the squad has to have a massive turnover, and she has to kind of rid out who she doesn't trust or who she doesn't want to play. And then equally, if we kind of land on the side that it's all falls at Elena's door, that had to be made a decision a long time ago. So I'm going to choose to be positive in that Elena's maybe rid some of the dead wood who didn't want to play her way, or she couldn't get to play her way, or equally had an ego that she couldn't manage or couldn't maintain. And the scary thing for me is that we haven't recruited 10 players this summer who are Elena's players. So let's just hope that the ones that are still around in the core of that squad are players who did enjoy working with her last year and can work under her, because we have seen from her first 6 months she can manage big games, she can set a team up, she has interesting ideas of how to make the squad powerful and win titles. So I will give her benefit of the doubt.
Interesting. Right. Maybe we can't go into this, but I'm really interested in these bad apples, right? How many of these so-called bad apples are left in the squad? You don't have to name names if you don't want to.
I think there is like I don't know if they're bad apples as such, but
maybe a bit unfair on my part.
There's like a core group of them who
core apple?
interestingly, yeah, well, Well, it's interesting that Elena actually referred to them as leaders in the group last season. I think you can mention, we can name names because they're gone, but Kelsey Doherty, Lucy Ashford-Clifford, Abby Harrison, Colette Kavanagh are all players that she named who, because of the part-time nature of Kelly Clark and Natalie Ross, were players that she had publicly said that she was relying on a bit to be senior players. They've all left now. And the reason why they come up as quote-unquote bad apples is because of some of the Instagram comments that were made when they were leaving. Lots of things like, go where...
when that would come up.
Yeah, go where you're wanted, not where you're...
Go where you're appreciated
or
something.
Not something. Wow. Not where you're... Yeah.
Lucia Dembele has got a lot to answer for.
Lucia Dembele never had TikTok, and let me tell you, they had TikTok.
And as fans though, how does it affect the fans? Do the fans feel that in the stadium when the games are playing? Is there a bit of a disconnect between the players and the manager?
I think you can. For me, last season, one of the first times where you thought, this isn't just about the football, this isn't just about how we're playing, it's about something has all gone wrong, was at the Oriam, the first game that didn't go well at the Oriam. And the atmosphere was just, like you said, it's difficult to describe it because it was just a sense that you got that this is not just about the fact that we've not been able to take home the points that we wanted to take home. There's something else going on here because it's only when you're, especially in a small stadium like that, where you're basically pitch side, you're right close to the players, you're right close to the manager in the dugout, and you can kind of see how they're all interacting. What was the question?
It was about disconnect between the players and how
Can
that comes across to fans. I think in my experience of football, it's a very emotional and you've got a kind of empathetic approach to games sometimes, and you can kind of see, certainly in the men's teams, you can see when things aren't quite working right. But I just wondered if there is this group of humans, not apples, who have publicly come out and said, I guess maybe it's in hindsight, would this have made any difference last season if people had been aware of it? Would that have encouraged the fans to get a bit more behind the team, or could you not even get?
I think the fans were quite aware of it, because that's the other thing. I don't know if you two agree with me, but it's obviously different in the women's game that you've got such a different relationship with the players. You're so much closer to them. You're have so much more of an understanding of the dynamics, not just between the fans and the players, but between different players and who's friends with who and all that sort of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say the fans were quicker to back the players, or at least see that as you saw a lot of comments of, the players don't want Elena here, or the players can't work under Elena, and not backing the manager, and these players are the issue. Which is why hopefully a big rid of the squad might solve that, and you've got a bit of a fresh start. But it definitely felt to me when it did start to seep out, we saw a couple times with arguments with Elena on the sidelines, and you saw players going off at half time and a couple of confrontations. And from my view, whenever I saw that pop up, it definitely seemed like the players got a bit more of the benefit of the doubt. And I think I had that as well for a long time, because you were watching games that weren't going right, and as the season did go on, I did start to get more sympathetic to Elena and the coaching staff of there didn't seem to be enough effort, maybe on both sides, from the playing staff to fix that, or to get through a season and be professional, is the issue I had.
I think it's very difficult as well, sorry to butt in, but when you asked that question about the structure and who reports to who, if the coaching staff were having questions around their own roles and who's supposed to be doing this recruitment, where are we supposed to be, where's the leadership supposed to be coming from, and how much of a heavy hand can I use, for example, in the dressing room? That's got to be quite destabilising as well. I don't know if that makes sense.
We've alluded, Lorenzo, you brought this up a bit earlier, but Peter, how long do you think the manager has to, I guess, prove to the fans and to the board that she's the person to lead this club forward?
To the fans, probably not a long time, because I think
the first game.
Yeah, I think as Lorenzo alluded to there, I think the fans were a lot more on the player side. I think that probably comes to their public personas. Obviously, we all know about the Palace TikTok, and it was just funny. But I think it's something that because the fans are so much more closer to the players, whereas Elena's quite not standoffish to the fans, but isn't the same same connection there. So the fans all like Killisadok, they all like Lee Shafter Clifford. They don't really know Elena, so they're more likely to just back them.
Yeah.
And now that those players are gone, and if you look on their TikTok, they post it, people still comment, so sad to see you go, all that kind of stuff. That if it doesn't go well in the first 1 or 2 games, especially Hearts away, which everyone hates anyway, then immediately they're going to be like, well, we should get rid of her. We should have kept Kelsey and Lucy and all that kind of stuff and got rid of Elena. So for the board, she probably has the whole season because she's got a year left on a contract. And are they paying attention?
And they don't want to have to recruit someone else.
You don't have to redecorate the office.
Can I just another thing that kind of occurred to me with the just to look on the bright side of things, that the 2 players that we have brought in, Lisa Robertson and Clare Walsh, are players who know exactly what they're signing up for when they sign up for an Elena team. So that kind of instills a bit of confidence that they've decided that she's a manager that they can work with. You know, there's a very good chance Lisa could have stayed at Hearts under Ava Ollid. She was performing really well there. Again, Clare Walsh was at Glasgow City, so they're 2 players with massive experience in the league who have made that choice to come to Celtic and work with this team and with Elena Sadiku, which, you know, I'm going to take as a positive at this point.
Well, I would think for those 2 signings, I'm not obsessed with them, but the one thing I see as a clear positive for those 2 is we've talked about his leadership role, and you've got a part-time captain. You bring in these 2 players as full-time players they're going to be leaders. They're going to be players that they're both 30 years old, played in league for ages, international players and stuff. So, you know, any young players, if McEnany, for instance, having a hard time, Lisa Robertson is a leader who will be there, and so it kind of help take that pressure off Kelly Clark, who half the time is away in Deloitte, kind of thing. So,
aye. What's her job?
Accountant.
She's an accountant.
Fancy accountant, though, I think. So.
Okay.
Fancy accountant.
Fancy.
They're different types.
I don't know. She's got a fancy job title on LinkedIn anyway. So,
so before we kind of move on to look at the league coming up, sort of a clean slate between the manager and the players to some degree.
I think you'd hope so.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
There's not enough there is nobody on a 5-year, 70 grand a week contract or anything there. You know, I think if somebody didn't want to play for this team, they would be gone now. And equally, if Elena didn't want them around, I think they'd be gone. So with the huge turnover of squad, you have to assume Elena is happy with everyone who's left and is comfortable working with everyone who's there.
There's not enough of them.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. We will look at the squad for the upcoming season. I mean, there's still time for players to come in, but knowing how Celtic do business, it's highly unlikely. So the league format for this season, so each team plays each other twice, home and away. The league then splits into a top 6 and a bottom 4. And the top 6 play each other home and away, and the bottom 4 play each other home and away. So if you're in the top 6, you play a total of 28 league games, and you would think that Celtic will be in the top 6. Lorenzo, we got a message from that Davy guy saying, will we be fighting Partick Thistle for 6th place?
Well, I do think there is a big gulf when you get to that point of the league. I really do think that there's only so far Celtic can fall, and they did it last year. I think there is enough of a huge gap between the teams that don't have any full-time players or have very little commitment to their women's teams, or are kind of new or fleshing out or whatever. There's a definite top tree of teams who can genuinely compete for the league that I don't know if we still count in that, but they're there. So I don't think we'll drop any further. Maybe the question of will we struggle more down that end of the table is maybe up for debate, but I don't think we'll fall any further.
I was going to just go through the teams. So Aberdeen, Celtic, Glasgow City, Yuck, Accies, Hearts, Hibs, Montrose, Motherwell, Partick Thistle and Rangers. Yuck. Claire, who do you fear the most out of that?
I mean, we have not beat Rangers for a really long time, so you've got to say that they present the biggest kind of obstacle to overcome. Well, Glasgow City as well. I think it's interesting that we're now in a league of 10. I'm kind of interested in Peter's take on this as the kind of league expert, as like the structure going from 12 to 10 teams, and whether you think that because, you know, like Lorenzo said, the likelihood of us being in the top 6 is pretty high, whether it actually makes a difference what the bottom of the league ends up looking like. And I guess it makes a difference in terms of how many fixtures we play. Yeah,
I think it makes us play less games, which I think was kind of pointless. I think 32 game season was fine. You know, women can play 32 games in a season. I think what it will do is there should, in theory, there's less games total, therefore there should be less 10-0s. So therefore goal difference should, in theory, be less
Crucial.
less
Goal
crucial.
difference could be crucial.
Could be, or it could, yeah. Well, so I don't know. For us,
Are we
at
going to
top
have to be
six,
more or less worried about goal difference? I'm confused.
And I think less worried because
Okay.
just by there's less games, therefore there's less chances to rack up the goals.
Okay.
And even then, last season Rangers scored like 200 goals
Okay,
and
so you
didn't
have
win
got
the
those
league.
two
So
teams,
Yeah.
teams at the bottom who you're going to...
you get multiple
okay.
chances to beat 20-0 if you're
Yes.
Rangers. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's basically less chances for that.
God. Lorenzo, what do you think of the structure then? Like, so it's gone from 12 to 10. I guess you've lost two. Is it like Forfar, Farmington, and Spartans or something?
It was Spartans and Dundee United
Spartans
that
and
went down.
And
I hate Spartans, by the way. Yuck.
Paul is not holding
I
back
don't
on his
know.
footballing
Don't like
opinions
Spartans.
today.
Yeah, what do you make of it?
I don't massively care. We still have to beat the teams we can't beat. Like I say, I mean, the lesser games is well, I would say it was good, but it's more because we played Europe last season and we were struggling with the games. We'll see how that fleshes out this season. But in terms of the teams in front of us, I still think it's the exact same. There's the teams that are above us now that are difficult and we will struggle against and we have to get better than, and the teams below, anything other than 3 points and a good few goals is a big letdown.
Clare, if I offered you third place and one cup at the end of next season, would you take it?
Oh.
The Scottish Cup.
At this point, I can't commit to that so early in the season. I'm going to hold out for like full optimism levels.
Okay.
So,
Peter, what would be like a good end result this season?
a good end result this season. I guess it
Or an
has.
acceptable end result, maybe.
Except, I guess it would have to be a trophy because
Right.
we didn't win anything last season. So getting a
so
trophy
you
back,
would take that.
I think I probably would, as it stands right now. But I do, as I said at the start of the show, I've still got this twang of like, there's something I just.
There's obviously a bit of me that shares that with you because when you asked me that, I was like, nah, we're going to win the league again.
You know what? See, Elena just got a new tactical board, so I think we're in for something here.
Listen, that could make the difference. I thought you were going to say you got a new tattoo.
No, that might be better. But
Yeah, Lorenzo, what would you take at the end of the season?
A trophy's a big one. I'd probably give you fourth in a trophy. I'd be tempted to go fifth in a trophy. I think a trophy's all that matters. We went very long without them. We had that great season where we got two. Without the league success, that was amazing. It was a big deal for the club. It was huge to see Celtic women lift silverware, and I don't think we kind of rally and get over the line in the league without that. So I would like to see us return to lifting silverware more than anything. I think in terms of league position, if we can get third and show green shoots or some young players coming through, and it's because we haven't brought in a bunch of players, then with the squad we have right now and implying that a bunch of the young players really step up and are a core of that, then I wouldn't go crazy if we end up third in a close race.
Okay, good answer.
I'll just stick with the treble, thanks.
Right. I mean, aim for a treble. And
It's a bit gauche to win a treble.
So outside of, I guess, Glasgow City, Hearts, Hibs and Rangers, so looking at maybe Aberdeen, Hamilton Accies, Montrose, Motherwell, Partick Thistle, who do you think presents the biggest threat or maybe the biggest unknown in that?
Who's the wild card, you mean,
Yeah.
kind of thing?
I think Aberdeen are pretty tough. They showed last season that they were making steps forward. They're moving more and more towards professional status and stuff. Their manager, Scott Booth, who
won the bike? No, that was Glass. Team Glass.
Scott
Sorry.
Booth has won things. But
This
I
is
don't know
why
what
I
they are.
shouldn't post this podcast. It's these
He's yet
nuggets
to win the
of,
bike.
You're here now, Paul.
Yes.
nuggets of pointless information from the 1990s. Yeah, okay. So,
But Scott
Booth is the
he's a
Aberdeen
good manager.
right?
Obviously, he won a lot of stuff with Glasgow City. He's proven that again at Aberdeen. He's done really well with them. They've got some really good young players, some really good players in general, and also there's always that travel up to the northeast is kind of hard work. So they're probably the kind of dark horses. I think going back to that question about if we're challenging Thistle for sixth, if any Motherwell fans listen, they'll be annoyed because they came sixth last season. So Motherwell are probably, if you're just basing off last season where they are now, they've brought in a few more players. They've lost their striker, so I guess they might have just less goals in general. But they're all kind of progressing at a kind of steady state. Probably I would say those three, Aberdeen, Thistle and Motherwell, are much for muchness probably. They'll be the fight for sixth. I think, as Lorenzo said, we'll be ahead of that, but those three teams are progressing and continue to progress this season, and we kind of stall. Those are the three teams that you would be worried about the kind of stupid 1-0 loss kind of thing. So.
Got you. How have the teams at the top of the table strengthened? Like, is that giving you three any cause for concern?
I think we can, as much as we've had a bad summer, I think we can all still laugh at Rangers.
Yeah, very weird.
They did a whole pre-season in Italy without a manager. So
they don't even have a manager.
Well, they do now.
They do now.
Who is the manager?
Leanne Crichton.
Oh, of
sports
course.
scene fame. So.
She was the assistant at Glasgow City as well, right?
Yeah.
But that hairdo is something else, by the way.
Okay, Paul.
Right. Okay, interesting.
They
so
also
Rangers
haven't signed as many players as some as Hearts, Hibs, and City.
They've
lost
lost
some stars, yeah.
Lost Kirsty McLean, who we've all seen absolute quality. She's away. Tessel Medag was a big leader for them. She's away.
Rio Hardy away.
Rio Hardy's away as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
I looked at this and I've got some notes about what other clubs have signed, and I mean Hearts have signed on paper like quite a lot. I think one of them's going straight out on loan to Partick Thistle or something, but like Hearts and Hibs have been doing a lot of business, and Glasgow City have brought in quite a number of players. I don't know what you think, because they're a lot of them players that you might know. Or
yeah, I can't remember exactly who Glasgow City have signed, but obviously they've brought in Abby Harrison, but they lost Brenna Lavera, and Brenna Lavera was big to how they play last season. So I mean, if they sign the Celtic Abby Harrison, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if they've signed the Abby Harrison of Hibs from a few years back, that could be a concern. It's Hibs that I think maintain. Like, I think Hibs have to be the favourites of the league. They won the league last year, and they've maintained basically all their starting 11. They've lost the goalkeeper, but they've replaced her with a keeper who's as good. And then they've brought in 2 or 3 players who will challenge their first team. So they've definitely strengthened, and given that they were the holders and are probably the only team to have, like, on paper strengthened, I think they've got to be the favourites of the league.
Interesting. Would you like to talk about the Celtic squad? So
we're going to have to at some point.
I've got the squad. Well, I mean, it probably won't take long because there's fuck all players. I've got the squad in front of me, so we'll kind of go through positions, and you can tell me who you think is like maybe the first choice, and or who might be kind of ready for a breakout season. So goalkeepers, Chloe Logan and Lisa Rogers. Clare, who's like your starting goalie and out of those two?
I genuinely was trying to put together a starting 11 the other day, and I cannot pick between these two players. I don't know if Peter or Lorenzo have, like, if there's an obvious choice that I'm missing, but if we start with either of those on the first game of the season, I would not be surprised, because Chloe Logan is a long-standing goalkeeper who's been with us for years, who's been very trusted. She's had injury issues, but then Lisa Rogers is this kind of up-and-coming goalkeeper who was thrown into European games, who Elena obviously really, really likes, but maybe lacks a bit of kind of concentration and just through inexperience.
Yep.
So it's really difficult to pick. I don't know out of those two.
I'm not enamoured with either of them, personally. I think Chloe Logan was great for us. The injury was really, really bad, and again, due to lack of appearances as well, and a couple of kind of clangers in those, it's tough to know exactly where she's at, I feel like.
I mean, she re-signed till 2027, so she's, you know.
We love signing goalkeepers to no play, though. And Rogers as well is like, again, you see Rogers as such a young player as well on the park, and the physicality's there, which can be lacking from a goalkeeper. There's a lot to like about her, but she's had some games where she's looked really, really raw or really, really off the pace, but again, been thrown into big games, like you say, randomly chucked into big games.
The games she's played have been really weird.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to think back to Chloe Logan pre the injury, and I'm trying to remember that she was very good. I feel like she was like closing in kind of Scotland team kind of stuff, and then got a really bad injury, was out for a long time. But I wouldn't lean, but I feel like Elena is leaning towards Lisa Rogers. I think just based off of her bringing her in, as you say, she's played more games, and we made quite a big call with her a couple of years back when we swapped her for Rachel Johnson. On both young goalkeepers, we made the decision that we'd rather have 18-year-old Lisa Rogers and 18-year-old Rachel Johnson. So you presume we've seen something, because Rachel Johnson has shown at Hearts that she's a great goalkeeper. So
okay.
Yeah.
So it's up for grabs, a half each maybe. I'll name all the defenders, and then I guess you can break them up into like full back or centre half. Before we go any further, what formation are we likely to see this season?
Great question.
Yeah. Your guess is as good as ours.
I remember Fran was one for just swapping formation week to week.
It's been very difficult. We've harked back to the moment in the season where we started playing with a back four, and then Elena made that comment where she said, it's going to be really fun now because we can switch and we can take opponents by surprise because we can play with a back three and a back four, and then continued domestically to just play with a back three and to put Emma Lawton as part of a back three, which none of us were happy with.
Right.
I think personally I would like to see a back four, but do you want to go through?
Yeah, we'll go through them. So Emma Lawton, as the previous mentioned, Emma Lawton, captain Kelly Clark, Chloe Craig, Amy Richardson, Dara Dawson, who we've talked about, and Claire Walsh. Who's a nailed-on starter for you, Lorenzo?
Probably Walsh. Thinking about it there, I mean Lawton obviously, right back, but it's centre half. Chloe Craig's been out for a long time. Need to figure out where she is and how she is coming back from the injury. Kelly's somebody who I think dropped a bit of a level last year, and for me I think Walsh has been brought in to be a new veteran centre half. So I think if there was somebody to stick my money on at centre back to play pretty much every game, I would actually go Walsh. Left back, there's no competition really for Richardson unless you put Chloe Craig back out there like she was under Fran.
Although you had something at the
there was
SWPL event yesterday.
Chloe Craig did say that if she got on the pitch this season, it would be a positive.
Oh,
which seems like a ridiculous thing. She was out all last season. Is it a 2-season long recovery for that?
What the hell?
So the last intel I had was that she was in, we obviously saw her running and she was readying up, and then I thought there'd been a slight setback, but my understanding was that it was minor.
She's in all these photos to look that she must mean. Maybe she means like.
I think she must mean she's got to get fit, and then because we've signed Claire Walsh, she's seeing that as her competition. That's what I'm taking it as.
But for me, you can't play through the back for me because we just don't have the numbers or the talent. We don't, and you can't mitigate the effect of Emma Lawton, who's the best player in the league, as voted for last year, to shoehorn in a three-at-the-back system. It just doesn't work.
You mentioned Amy Richardson. We got a question from Guy Incognito asking, how big a role will Amy Richardson play this year? Anyone?
She might have to play a very big role.
If we play four at the back, she's the starter. So
is this a 19-year-old? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So signed from the Everton Youth Academy, but then went out on loan. So we haven't really seen her play for Celtic. We've seen she's had minimal minutes, right?
Yeah, very minimal. And she played a few games for Thistle, but I think she played a few games for Thistle, but I don't think she seemed to be. She didn't set the world alight anyway at Thistle, which is what you would kind of hope a Celtic player would do at what ended up being a bottom six team. You would hope she would be their kind of star player, but she wasn't. So
at this point, you've got Claire Walsh, Kelly Clark, Emma Lawton, and Amy Richardson, right?
Yeah,
as a back four.
So it feels like at this point it's an inevitable back three due to numbers.
Yeah,
I would love to see a couple of left backs in.
That's like 7 players for 4 positions or 5 positions if you're playing a 3-5-2.
We suffer, like everyone in the league, bad injuries happen. I mean, touch wood, but they happen all the time. So when we're talking about numbers here, I feel like it should be more pronounced a threat than it is. That we have a bit of bad luck, and also just the league in general. You see a lot of season-ending injuries. You see players missing time. If the games do pile up, you can see that have a big effect last season. So the numbers game is really scary, and I think that's why it does feel like a 3 at the back is almost going to be the only option.
I also think it's unfair not to include Dara Dawson as a kind of almost on a equal footing at this point with Amy Richardson in terms of getting minutes, because she played for us last season. She's been training with the squad all summer. We've actually probably seen as much of her in a Celtic jersey as we have Amy Richardson. So I think there's a couple of years of age difference in terms of experience, but she might be she might be one of these we're kind of used to maybe seeing these breakout young players being more kind of exciting, like midfielders or forwards, but maybe we've got someone who can turn into a really solid defense. I don't know. We just don't know at this point.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through this team just now. So in midfield, there are more midfielders. I guess this will be covering basically from left to right, including centre mids. Maria McInerney, Shannon McGregor, Jenny Smith, Natalie Ross, Claire Goldie, Emma Weston, Sienna McGoldrick, Lisa Robertson, and Momo.
Yeah.
Who people seem to get quite excited about. Momo.
Yeah.
I quite like Momo. Yeah.
Remember the Momo challenge from a couple of years ago?
Nope.
It was something that kids looked up.
Yes, the scary face.
It was like a scary thing.
Oh yeah, and it told them to do things.
I think we should make the Momo Challenge win the league. How about that?
I would love that.
How are you feeling about midfield and the kind of options, I guess, in depth?
I think, well, just looking at that there, and I wonder if Jenny Smith is a midfielder still.
I think there's a lot of questions, as there is, because Chris and I were talking about this the other day, about when teams put out their squad on the website and they categorise players, and sometimes you go, is that right? Are they a midfielder? And it also very much depends on how Elena decides she's going to play this season.
Yeah, because I was just talking about like kind of back three, back four. If Jenny Smith is now a left back, then it could be a fourth back or Jenny Smith left back.
Yeah, maybe.
But we'll, as that might sign in my voice, who knows?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Where's the creativity likely to come from in that midfield?
You would pray to God Amy Gallagher wakes up from the dead this season.
Who's not even listed as a midfielder.
No, but that's what I'm praying for. Midfield, I think that is a thing though, because that squad, there's like the numbers are there as for like centre mids, and there's players there that you trust, and there's a squad you could put out in the starting 11 you could put out you'd feel pretty comfortable with and pretty happy with. But that was the case last season, and the creativity was really lacking a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And maybe Momo with a bit more under her belt and a bit more experience can take on a bit more of that role, a bit of creativity. I was quite excited about Emma Vestine when she first came in. Again, just a bit of like physicality and a bit of directness. So she obviously, Elena was more aware of her. She didn't get a chance because of the injuries. She stuck around, which doesn't always happen when players come in particularly short term and get injured. They usually just fade back away. We even saw Hannah Kerner being such a quality player, injury comes back, it's not going to work out away you go. So I would hope there's something to be said for Emma Vestine this season, because Lucy was a big favourite of mine before her injury. I think last season we saw her effectiveness drop quite a lot, and it was in that lack of intentional play and directness and quality with final balls, and if Vestine can up that, then I'll be very pleased.
Yeah, Claire, do you have something to say on that?
I guess, it's that creativity piece is like about having. We sometimes just that was missing last season, is that joining up of the midfield with the forward line and how they were doing that, and sometimes it just felt like different areas of the pitch were just operating completely separately from each other. And I don't know, bringing in a player like Lisa Robertson is exciting for me to kind of maybe like inject some kind of spark into that midfield if she's competing for places or getting minutes, I don't know. Yeah,
I think you can kind of, as Lorenzo said there, you can kind of make a squad in a midfield three of that you're quite happy with. They give you head, say, Momo, Lisa, and then Maria McInerney, say, in that kind of forward role. It's quite a good balanced midfield three. And you can get that kind of energy of Momo, the ball playing calmness, Lisa Robertson, and then hopefully the kind of running power of McInerney. You'd be quite happy with that.
Would you get me excited here?
Wow.
And then you got the interplay between Amy Gallagher and Noonan.
Oh my God.
We're on to something. So
yeah.
Up top, Amy Gallagher, as before mentioned. Celtic's number 7, of course. Saoirse Noonan and Morgan Cross. Who's Morgan Cross? Gal's favourite, Morgan Cross. Tell me about Morgan Cross, someone.
Who wants to talk about Morgan Cross?
I just think I'm quite taken by that name.
She came in the same day as Emma Lawton.
Yep.
And I think the two of them were...
Emma Lawton's shadow.
Yes, but the two of them came in as these bright sparks in the league, and it was good to see. I was really happy to see Celtic just like picking up young talent from the league, because I feel like, it says all the time, the minute Celtic snap their fingers and decide they could just, when like Leicester City won the league, that's what the Hibs winning the league should have been. Okay. Celtic are a proper side. They just go fucking pick up every player from Hibs and take them off them and spend the money. But it's not going to happen. But I think when Emma Lawton and Cross signed, it was at least like a small version of Celtic picking up the hottest prospects in the league and trying to plug them in. Cross is like an incredibly hard runner. She makes good runs as well. She's really talented. She gets in good positions. Sometimes whenever she's up front by herself, she really strays, which is why maybe she'd benefit from a partner. And we never worked out how to run a forward line last season and how these players all work together. But she's very, very quick, very direct, gets on the end of things, fluffs her lines quite a lot, misses sitters, but it just comes across as like a young, really raw striker. And she took on quite a bit of responsibility early last season, and when things weren't going right, she was kind of flung on, and that is tough to do. So maybe giving a bit more of a run behind Saoirse Noonan, or figuring out how she could also fit in, would really benefit her.
Yeah,
interesting.
I think that she, for me as well, was sometimes last season one of the players that when things weren't looking great for us, or when we were kind of watching a performance that just looked a bit lackluster, and looked like the players weren't into it, she was one of the players who looked like she was trying to make stuff happen. She was trying to get everyone going, and like Lorenzo said, maybe it didn't always come off, but she's definitely talented, and I'm really excited for her this season.
Cool.
Yeah, well, she can't cross, so there's that. Unfortunate, but
Maybe she's been working on it all summer.
I'm going to go around the panel. Just want you to pick one player that you think you're going to be most excited about this season. So, Claire.
Okay.
Who you Bagsying for this season?
Okay. The player that I'm gonna Bagsy Mo. Can I Bagsy Momo?
Yeah, sure.
Well, you got to go first. Yeah.
I also, can I just do a sort of side note, is that it's a bit of a, we haven't mentioned Clare Wilde because she is another player coming back from injury. I was so excited about her before. Lorenzo and I have talked about it on the podcast. I would love if this was Clare Wilde's breakout season and she comes back from injury and just sets the world on fire, because I think she's a very talented player.
Cool. Peter.
yeah, well, thankfully, I'm going to say Maria McInerney. I know. I was hoping Claire wouldn't say her, but yeah, she's the one. Saw her end of last season. I'm maybe hoping beyond hope that she's going to continue that, pick up the mantle, and be that kind of star player for us in the middle. So
nice, Lorenzo.
All right, I'll take the best player in the league, Emma Lawton.
Yeah.
I'll Bagsy Emma Lawton.
Okay.
Also, I'd say Bagsy Emma Vistine. I am just pushing this agenda that she's actually top draw, and we just didn't get to see it.
yeah.
Did you say if I pronounce her name Weston, so it's Vestine?
I always trust you, Claire.
That's how I've been told to pronounce it.
No, good.
So.
I mean, I want to get it right. Show some goddamn respect to these players. Okay, so pre-season games lost to Sunderland. It was a camp in Newcastle. A camp in Newcastle doesn't sound like excellent.
It's not glamour, is it?
It's not. I mean, come on, we can do better than that.
The Fran days of Gran Canaria are gone.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, so.
I genuinely think that they were staying close to home so that they could still
Fingers
speak to
crossed,
players
yeah.
and sign
They
people.
didn't have to pay for a hotel. They drove up the road.
Oh my god,
It was a day commute.
this definitely is Celtic. How has pre-season prep gone in your eyes? Who'd like to pick that up?
I would say it started poorly. I think we spoke about the manager a lot. She was on punditry duty for the Euros.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that.
So she
really
missed
much.
the entire first week of pre-season. She didn't miss much though, because I think 4 players came back the first week,
Okay.
so they just were running around in
The
circles by
poor
themselves.
admin on the socials was just taking the same pictures of the same players over and over
It
again.
made me like every time a new player joined, he clearly made sure to take a photo of them 5 times. So they're back.
Right,
Don't-
right.
There's more than 4. So
Yeah.
I was like a fucking creche during the summer. There was like a bunch of 14-year-olds who come back to train and maybe 2 senior players.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
Can I also, a positive though, we played Sunderland and lost 2-0 to them, and Rangers played Sunderland and lost 4-0.
Oh, so that means Celtic would beat Rangers 2-0.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that.
That's, as Lorenzo says, just arithmetic.
Just arithmetic, basic arithmetic.
Okay, so pre-season's over. The league starts on Sunday. Before we kind of put a bit of focus on the game against Hearts, let's talk a little bit about the fan base. How many people are going to games? Has it dropped off since? Is basically with poor results, does the fan base drop off a bit? And if so, how does Celtic get them back? I know the answer is probably win some games, but what could they do?
I thought, do you have the numbers of the fan
I
attendances?
saw Peter looking at me like, do you know?
I was like, you
And
must
I
have
was
the
like,
stats.
I don't know.
You don't know? No.
I don't have actual attendance figures. This is purely on vibes.
Looking around, vibes.
I would say that attendances are not growing, certainly, and that's a problem, because we should be in a position where the league was really close last season. A different team won it, the top 5. It was getting more and more competitive. Obviously it didn't go well for Celtic, but I think across the board we're not seeing audiences, crowds in the stadiums get bigger, which is disappointing. And I don't know whether you know any more about what the league, Peter, might be doing about that. But in terms of Celtic, it's really difficult to sell it when it's such a disappointing experience, especially towards the end of last season. And they're going to have to do something really innovative to pick it back up and get people in to the stadium at Hamilton, which is an odd stadium.
Yes.
New Douglas Park.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, hypothetical situation, right?
Okay.
You're in charge of the club.
Right.
Lorenzo, you're in charge of Celtic women,
God,
right?
he's in charge.
Superb.
Actually, at this point, I would...
A man in charge of the women. Unbelievable. Right, what would you do? What idea would you try and implement in order to get fans back on side?
I think we've already tried it and done it, and I think the way the board dealt with the whole Celtic end of it all kicked us way back down the road of how to get fans involved in the women's game. There were the vibes and the excitement that those games built was insane.
Yeah.
It was so palpable. It bled into the Hampden games. Like, a lot of things came from that. And when Celtic just kind of put the kibosh on that, it really pushed a lot of fans just back into obscurity for the women's team. The constant, the moving ground to grounds that are all shite. The lack of seeming attempt to have a Glasgow home base makes it really hard for people. Home base.
B&Q?
Makes it really hard.
Home base is Celtic coded, by the way.
Makes it really hard for people to pick up make a decision on the Saturday they're going to go to the game. Make a decision on Sunday they're going to go to the game because it's not easy to get there.
Okay.
Things like that. So there's a lot of match day experience stuff that we just don't seem to care about, and we operate at a very kind of lower league standard of how the match days operate. But for me, it's the optics of bringing the women into Parkhead, making a huge deal of it, making it such a big thing, setting the standard with the 10,000 fans, and then just dropping them like nothing. And the women's team to the Celtic board seems like they're there to appear in the Christmas advert and model the kits, and that's it.
Right. Peter, thoughts?
How to follow from that? I guess from the game day experiences are terrible. So I remember going to a few games last season, and you get off the train at Hamilton, and you're walking down that wee scary alleyway in the back to get to the stadium door
through the underground car park.
Yeah. And I just remember it was with the Champions League night. We were playing Real Madrid at home in the Champions League, and I remember walking down. It must have been 7:30 time at night, having to double check the game was actually on.
Right.
Because again, halfway there, no sound at all. The lights were like, everything just seemed that nothing was happening. Then only when you come around the corner you realise, oh, there's people here. That's okay. But there was no, there's no vendors outside. There's no music player, and there's just nothing at all. And then you get into the stadium, and it's all a bit. There's no like music in the stadium either. There's just you listen to the players pass the ball around, and you've got Real Madrid here. Like, let's make an event of it. And I guess people are there to see the football, but if you go to Celtic Park for a men's game, there's 1,000 food trucks and there's everything going on. There's shops there, it's open, you can buy kits and all that kind of stuff. And there's just nothing. Like, generally, like you don't know the game is on unless you're in the stadium, which I think is really, really poor.
A bugbear of yours, Claire, over the years has been the communication about games from the club, and I assume we're still beating that drum.
I think so. I do think I kind of, from what Lorenzo said, I agree with what you're saying about Celtic Park and like having those big like marquee games where we get a lot of attention and a lot of people through the door. And I kind of come to what Peter says, and it's like, how do you translate that into getting people to New Douglas Park on a Sunday afternoon or a Sunday evening or a Friday night or whenever it is, and give them an experience that means that like the audience, I've said it again, but it's like the audience for women's football grows like in a sustainable way, and like you end up with, you might have 500 people and then 1,000 people, and then you get to the stage where you're filling that whole stand at New Douglas Park. I understand why they moved there, because we had to go somewhere that was UEFA compliant due to the Champions League qualification, but it's quite an odd, there's no, like, even at Airdrie there was like a concourse where they could do stuff, so as soon as you went into the stadium, at least once you were in there was kind of, whether they did it or not is by the by, but there was an opportunity to kind of fill the concourse with stuff.
I think if you look down south, it was already Chelsea and Arsenal, the two big clubs down south that everyone talks about and holds up as these success stories. And what they've done, it's quite similar to what Celtic, I'm presuming is what Celtic's plan was, is Chelsea have Kings Meadow, Arsenal have, I can't remember the name of their small stadium, but it's a stadium kind of near-ish enough, Arsenal and Chelsea, and it's a smaller stadium, similar size in Douglas Park, but they made a clear effort to make it their home. So at Chelsea, I think Kings Meadow is the home of, I don't know what, like Wimbledon or someone, I don't know. But when you go there for a Chelsea women's game, it's all branded Chelsea Women's.
Yeah.
There's the Chelsea Women's shop is there, and they now, more or less sell that stadium every single week they play there, and they've got this real core fan base of, say, 10,000 fans who are every single week, and then you build that up so that when you have the big event at Stamford Bridge or at Emirates, it then is naturally growing to be sell out at those stadiums as well. Whereas I think Celtic have done that first bit of, okay, let's get ourselves a dedicated home for the women, but then let's not do anything with it and keep the fan base at 500 people who just happen to be in the know.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that, because even Glasgow City do that much better than us at Peters Hill.
Yeah, at least tapping into the community,
Rangers
right?
were doing, obviously Rangers are going to use Ibrox more this season, which I think is a double-edged sword, but also when they were at Broadwood, they were doing it there. And
do you know what the fans like to do at Ibrox? Boo. They love to boo.
Can I tell you my dream scenario?
Go on, Lorenzo.
That I said in the podcast before. Makes too much sense for it to be done. Barrowfield. If it had a stand, and you make it the permanent home of the women, and you create this contained but able to grow because you own the place environment, and you put the women on there on a Sunday, and if you have a season ticket to the men's game, you either get in for free or you get in on the cheap, and the women can kick off at 12 when the men kick off at 4, blah blah blah, but make an effort with the football bodies to be able to facilitate the women's games of the shared clubs not kicking off at the same time. And you see a Sunday, if you go up at Parkhead for a game that kicks off at 3, there's kids, there's families on the Celtic Way from midday.
Yeah.
You know, just want that's what they're doing today.
They also don't do enough on the Celtic Way.
No, but they're going to a Celtic game, and they're all in kits, and they're all buying shit and blah blah blah. If there's down the road at Barrowfield a Celtic game on before the Celtic game, particularly for people who want to be part of Celtic, want a season ticket or on the waiting list, can't get in, you make this whole environment a Celtic environment, and you can there'll be way more people would be, you know, have a big Celtic day out and go down at a 12 o'clock kick-off, Celtic women versus Rangers women, blah blah blah, before a big game up the road at Parkhead. There's a lot you could do to marry the two up, and we have Barrowfield there to do it, and the idea that we're not going to have a stand there for me is totally baffling. It
doesn't make sense at all for any reasons. I totally agree with that. I was chatting to someone about what Rangers do. So Rangers have a waiting list for their men's team, but they do it on a point system. So if you're on the waiting list for the men's team, if you go to women's games or get a season ticket for women's games, you basically get points, and that bumps you up the waiting list.
I did not know about that.
And actually, I mean, I hate to say Rangers have done something that's a good idea, but that's genuinely a great idea.
I mean, across the last few years, Rangers have managed the growth of their women's team much better than us.
They also have ticket resale, Rangers, don't they?
I don't know.
For the men's team,
they do have the resale stuff.
Apart from that baffling moment where they decided at last minute to ban us from Ibrox.
Oh, yeah, that was
they just like to boo at Ibrox. Let's look at Hearts. So away to Hearts this Sunday, the 17th. Poor record in the last 2 games in Edinburgh. Clare, something to prove going back there. How? I mean, this is almost as bad an opening game as Celtic could have got.
I'd say so. I think it's one of the worst fixtures. It kind of feels like it's the one that's got the biggest curse on it at this point. We lost 1-0 and then we lost 3-1. Neither of those. And those were both games where you just really started to see the wheels coming off this Celtic team last season. I mean, bright spots in terms of how things might have switched around. We've definitely got something to prove. So maybe we go in there with a different attitude. Obviously, we'll have different players in the squad. They've lost Emma Brownlee, so she was a big player for them.
And Lisa Robertson.
And they've lost Lisa Robertson, who is now on our side. And Lisa Robertson herself, I think, if she gets minutes, will have something to prove. So, you know, that's the positives to take from it. It's just, I mean, anyone who's been to the Oriam is bored of us all talking about how much we don't like it, so I won't do that too much.
Where is it?
Heriot-Watt University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yuck. Yeah. Peter, how are you feeling about this game?
Hearts, I don't know, it's hard to say. Like first game of the season, so you never know, but Hearts are the bit of the bogey team, especially as Clare says away at Oriam, so it's a hard one to start with, but I guess if you're trying to be positive about it, it's one of those ones where if we go out to Oriam, we make a statement, we win 2-3-0, all of a sudden I think that says a lot about the squad, about a team. I think people will be more positive about that than if we were to beat Montrose 9-0 again on the first day. I think beating Hearts 2-3-0 or just having a good win against them is a better start than if we got an easy game against an Aki's kind of thing. So
yeah, Lorenzo, is this is it a buy almost, or like a free hit, or do you think there's potential for a good result here on Sunday?
I think that's why it's annoying. It's definitely not a buy, or to the fans as well. It's not going to be an acceptable one to lose. I think to try and be positive, I think something we might benefit from. I think Eva Oller's always been really good at setting up a team to frustrate us and to turn us over. There might be a lot of unknowns with the Celtic team come, Sunday. There's a lot of potentially new formations. There's players who are evolving into new roles. It's difficult for us to pick a first 11 or guess a first 11. So I can imagine for the Hearts coaching team right now, there's not a lot they can work on other than basing it off last season, which hopefully we've improved on.
Okay.
Well, we haven't got half the players, so there's going to have to be something different.
Well, we are not the same team.
Half the bad apples.
Yep, they've rotted. They're baked in a pie. Score prediction, Lorenzo, start with you.
2-1 Celtic.
Claire?
2-0 Celtic.
Oh, Peter?
I'll go 3-1 Celtic.
Oof. Okay. Well, look, I hope any of those scorelines happens.
4-0 Hearts.
I take it there will be a reaction or a
We will be, so we're going to try and experiment with some new stuff this season. We're going to do a bit of recording on the day of the game.
Great.
When we go to the match, and then sort of react straight after, something short and sweet. But then we will be recording as usual every week after the weekend and putting something out midweek, which is a kind of more broad look at the game and the weekend as a whole.
Between the three of you, we've had your predictions. Can we get? Can you together kind of collate what you think will be the starting 11? I mean, we already know it's going to be the goalies are going to get one half each, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with that.
Yeah, I like that. Right, Emma Lawton, right back.
Can we go for a back four?
For the purposes of this exercise,
yes,
we can, but
we'll go 4-4-2.
The same back four that started against Sunderland, which was Emma Lawton, Clare Walsh, Kelly Clark, and Amy Richardson.
Yep.
I can see that.
Who's that kind of sitting defensive midfielder?
Lisa?
I would say Lisa.
It would be good.
Or Natalie Ross, but I don't know if she's fit.
Lisa.
She might have a shift.
Let's put Lisa in.
Okay, Lisa's in.
Is Momo in as well?
Predicting it's harder than what you would want.
Mm-hmm.
Momo, she put a lot of faith in Momo last season.
Maz?
I think it's Momo and Maz in the
Maz,
midfield three.
Yeah, and then she'll still. Is this like what we think will happen? Amy, I want Amy Gallagher to hit the ground running and to have a great season. I want her to start playing every game, so I want her in there.
Okay.
I think Noonan will start as the number 9.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's then how are we going to go around her? Is it going to be 2 wingers?
That's
or
the
is
thing.
It gonna be,
I'm totally, because the team showed nothing last season about what they actually intended on doing up front. I have no, because I want Amy G in the pitch 100%, but then I'm like, well, where the fuck's the width? Where's everyone coming
Morgan
from?
Cross on the right hand side.
And then I want Vestine to start.
We don't really know where her best position is because we've seen so little.
Big, powerful left forward of some kind.
Okay, let's imagine that Emma Vestine is the answer to that question.
Yeah.
There, have we done it? Have we picked 11?
Do you know what? At this point, I don't know.
we ran out of formation pretty quick, I think.
yeah. Maybe that's a very accurate representation of what's going to happen.
I think it is quite accurate.
I think so.
Lorenzo's very good point that Ava Ollid will not know what she's going to be facing.
I think it's the only benefit we have.
Keep them guessing. Okay, I just want to say thanks to all the listeners that got in touch. Lots of people basically saying, why haven't we signed many players? This is garbage. So Melissa, Jamie, Danny, Chris, Linda and Anne-Marie had all got in touch saying pretty much the exact same thing. So before we wrap up, we've kind of talked about your predictions for the season and what success would look like, but I'd like from each of you a left field prediction for 25-26. So Peter, we'll start with you, please.
Left field prediction? Oh jeez. That's a good one. What can I do? We'll half and half goalkeepers the whole season.
Nice. Yeah, like that.
I like to think that there'll be some good. Like one of the youth players will surprise us, whether that's like Sienna McGoldrick or Dara Dawson. I think one of them will break.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about Sienna McGoldrick. Maybe she's the magic bullet.
There's not much to talk about.
Lorenzo, left field prediction from you?
Amy Gallagher, top goal scorer in the league.
Okay, love it. Claire?
Maria McInerney, top goal scorer in the league.
Okay, so joint top goal scorers in the league.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Love that. Okay, any final thoughts, Clare Wilde?
I'm just ready for Sunday to come now, just to see how all this is going to shake out for 25-26.
Okay, I love that. Peter, is there anything you would like to say?
Don't like Hearts.
No.
So.
Oh, they're my favourite team, actually, so this is quite awkward. Lorenzo?
I think I'm weirdly way more positive after this chat. I think just looking at the squad, starting to feel like with the men's team, where I think if we added 2 or 3 to fill in some gaps, I'd actually be kind of comfortable with the 11 and kind of excited about what they could do, which is so interesting after having lost so many players. Maybe that does speak to the bad apple nature of it all. So I'm way more positive.
Okay, nice way to end the podcast. So thanks a lot for listening. As ever, you can get more Celtic podcasts than you can shake a stick at by subscribing to The Cynic, thecynic.co. Any questions, editor at thecynic.co. Podcasts every single day, match reactions, news, features. Okay, we're going to wrap up there. So from Clare Wilde, from Peter O'Toole, from Lorenzo Pacitti, and from me, Paul Carlin, this has been the Celtic Women's Football Show, season preview, and we'll speak to you down the road.